away by LNG. OMG take away Camille, Xin Zhao, and Lee Sin. First pick of the Heartbreaker himself. Got Viego.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of these champions that's been getting an insane amount of priority, even with the nerfs coming through to the laning phase. But obviously, a lot of power picks up in this one. And you know what? We took a look at some of the drafts we saw from OMG earlier in some of their series. Now, with the Gwen already locked in, which I'm assuming will go to new, although it can be a triple flex, of course, this is already looking very good for OMG. You also have the Aphelios. Thresh is still up and available. So I wonder if LNG right now are feeling like we need to take a takeaway pick on this one. They already have the Aphelios. Do we want to let them have the Thresh as well?
Man, there's just so that I want to go back to what you said earlier. Like, there's just so many power picks left on the table. I actually really love the LNG picking up Volibear here. It would be really interesting for Tarzan as well. I believe it would be his first played in the summer split at least. And I still am a really, really big fan of Volibear right now as a whole. And to pair it up with the likes of, you know, the Viego and now also the Sylas, there's some serious skirmish potential available.
Yeah, and you can already see it's coming out. So far, there's not the best ultimates to steal as a Sylas, but it's very good preemptively. And you already said it, skirmish, right? The Volibear is really one of the best junglers at this point in time, especially in the early game to get through with this. When you hit that level 6, starting these tower dives are extremely easy. So now, OMG, what is the response for this one? And they handshake the early skirmishers. They go for the Olaf with his own brawling potential.
They also get the Aphelios, a little bit of late game insurance policy there for Abel, who able to have some pop-off moments last time around as well as we saw in those B-roll clips. So very interesting. I was, you know, making a statement earlier, like, what do we see as these first 3 picks for both teams? Is going to be that top lane or top side focus, get the ADC bot lane later. OMG decided to throw a little bit different, a little bit of both, right? Step into both pawns here as they get the Gwen, Aphelios, Olaf. I still really like this combo for OMG. There's just a lot of skirmishing to worry about. So that's where you look at the second phase bans, right? OMG have already banned away the Kai'Sa. We also get the LeBlanc banned away from LNG. So a little bit, a slight different focus for both squads is the Kalista also banned by OMG.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for OMG. You already have picked your AD carry, so it doesn't really matter just threading, throwing away some of the Thresh that could come out from LP. But on the side of LNG, I'm quite surprised they're not just banning away some of the supports, because I'm expecting OMG to just come in with a blind pick support here with some of the power picks that are still up, like the Thresh or Leona, if that's what you want to for the aggressive thront. But it looks like they're just taking away some of the mid laners instead. OMG, I expect them to save the counter pick for the side of Cold, though. You keep the flex on the Gwen alive as well. Oh no, don't do this to me. I'd be very sad. I'd be very sad.
Talk about it because it might not be that one. We're gonna go somewhere else. We're not even gonna talk about League of Legends now. But no, we are gonna talk about League of Legends because this would be hilarious. But hey, you're looking for maybe some sustain, some late game damage. They lock in the Viktor.
Yeah, maybe it's time from redemptions. I want to correct myself. Obviously, Sylas was already picked, so of course you're just going to pick your mid laner there and save the counter pick for support. I don't know. I guess it's just a bit early in the morning still, but at the same time, Viktor coming out from Creme. We talked about his performance last time. It really wasn't something that was the greatest, and now LP coming through with the Draven, put it up with the Thresh as well, and then you just have the standard solo queue lane to come through with this one, where you're just so aggressive. And right now, there's not really any support that would hinder a Thresh here. Yeah, you could still go for the Nautilus, but then Aphelios is left with close to no mobility for himself here. So you're stuck in a situation where as OMG, you say, all right, we don't have too much instant engage right now. So if we go for something that's going to be disengaged, we're going to be lacking in the broader perspective. But if we don't go for something that has disengaged, it might halter our laning phase when this Volibear starts coming down towards the bottom side of the map. I think going for the engage will be the better option here. You'll just have to let Abel play on the back foot then and hope the top side is going to get ahead, but you need instant engage, and that is why this Leona is coming through despite not having the best matchup into Thresh. So right now from the side of LNG, they're looking very scary in the early game. We talked about it. We want early game proactivity, and that composition, it already facilitates that kind of play style.
It facilitates it beautifully. The range of movement between the lanes, everything along those lines is huge. There's a lot of mobility on this team. The fact that they just dropped the gauntlet out in game number 1 with the Draven Thresh bot lane, I so heavily appreciate that. And we've talked very heavily about how much we like the LNG composition, because it does feel like they've gotten a lot of the pieces that you could typically look for. But on the other side of it, I do feel like there are some ways forward. You've got a lot of scaling potential there on the other side. You've got the Aphelios, you've got the Viktor, you've got this Olaf to make that early game happen, and that means that it's a little bit more on Aki here on the Olaf to really be this strength for OMG early on.
Yeah, I mean, Volibear can be kind of hard to pilot from the mid point of view. If Sylas does not have that priority, Olaf will just have an easier time start creating these skirmishes, specifically around the Raptor part where mid lane can always come up quite easily. Like, we need a few items on Icon before you can really start playing with the Volibear. But what I'm looking for is probably like that 6-minute mark is where we start seeing LNG's roster fully come together, where they should start looking for these skirmishes. But on the other side, if they get the early priority with the Viktor, with the Gwen up in that top side, it's all about getting all the advantages he can get from the get-go minute 1.
Yeah, and keeping objective as a side eye here for myself at least. I want to see if we do see that Olaf go for early objectives. Very, very good strength for the Olaf, but it's looking like a majority focus towards the top side at least, unless you're trying to aggress on the Draven Thresh, which can be a little bit difficult. But I still think that the big spotlight, or at least the big show, is going to be towards this top side. We're going to see what the early pathing for Tarzan, for Aki is going to be, and especially how that's going to kind of intermingle, because what we really want to see from both these teams is how it all threads together, how we see the lanes interact with the jungler, where the communication lies, how all this kind of comes down early on.
Yeah, and I mean, you can already see it from the roster you have now put together. Arley versus New was a matchup we highlighted. It's going to be something that's going to be fun to look forward to in this matchup as well.
It absolutely is. As you see the beauty of Summoner Rift unfold in front of you, we're going to have action all night long. It kicks off with LNG versus OMG, game number 1.
And there we have it. It's looking like we're getting no early shenanigans here, where we usually with the Thresh, Draven, you can allow yourself to be a bit more aggressive just due to the range and safe nature of moving forward. But maybe going against the Olaf is not the best thing they want to do. But you can already see some of the early wards because of this jungle matchup. Olaf, one of those champions that like to late invade, so Tarzan not showing in any quadrant of the map. They've already put up the early wards, one against the red entrance and one over with the blue entrance, to make sure that there's going to be no late invade to come through from this Olaf. But Olaf having a solo start the same as Volibear, and it looks like both junglers right now will be pathing down towards the bottom side of the map. But you can already see what they're doing here from the side of LNG. They're fake leashing LP. He used mana on towards the red buff. So for OMG's information right now, the Volibear is starting bot side. So what Tarzan is going to be doing, he's going to be trying to misuse this information to his advantage, where he's going to be able to path bottom where they will not expect it.
See, these are the things that make it okay in my mind that jungle is so influential, because there's so many cool little things that can happen, so much information game being played, at least between the two. It's like a little spy game going on the whole time, but really want to see how Tarzan can utilize this to their advantage. LP and Kadaya really making pressure down on the bot lane, pressing up, getting at least the freeze trying to happen for themselves, as both top laners, as you said earlier, kind of took that solo leash, both still fighting towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the fact that it's also... I'm just going to stop Tarzan.
Kingslayer, he doesn't have it yet. Creme gets out with a nice flash, although the Viktor without a flash could be revisited. Tarzan doesn't have his either. Icon taking a little laser beam at the end there. Going to have to back after that one and utilize that TP, but early gank is just going to get summoner spells for LNG.
And that's the approach that LNG wanted. Tarzan came from the top side of the map, where LNG, they expected him to be towards the bottom side, clearing up towards the top. You can already see the ward that Creme put down towards the river entrance there. He was not coming from that side, but now they know blue buff was on the Tarzan, therefore they know, right, he hasn't cleared his red buff, he's going to be clearing down towards the bottom side of the map. They force a flash outside of Creme, which it can still be quite pivotal, because as you're taking a look at right now, the bot lane of LNG will always have priority. That is just the nature nature of the Leona into Thresh matchup. Leona is going to matter outside of lane, not in lane. So with this priority, they can try and create skirmishes. They can try and create dives, and I think they're going to do that.
Oh my goodness, this is the party you're looking for. LNG's early proactivity coming alive here. Ale already got one. LP looking to go down. No, he doesn't, and he gets the kill. That's huge. You get a double at least for the top laner. Ale, he's getting reset. They might look for a third as they're all still down here. And Nu's gonna go down as well. It's 4-0 for LNG.
That is such a good dive. I cannot begin to explain to you how well juggled that was. We had complaints of LNG's early game. And 4 minutes into the game, this is the dive they bring to the situation with a stacked up wave, with the TPs coming through, with Abel and Cold having nothing to do under this turret, juggling the turret range so well. Look at Gedaya taking the tower shot he needs going into this one. Then it goes on towards Ale. He's still out of that one. And LP able to stay alive under the whole thing. Creme is here to join the party. He's a control mage. You don't do anything in the early game, buddy. You're only a mid-game champion. So the rest of LNG, they're just able to pile down. They can get out with the Dark Passage with the Thresh, and that is one of the best dives I have seen in the LPL in the early game.
LNG seemingly woken up from their slumber here early on against OMG. This is the kind of moment that you want to springboard off of. Keep the aggression up as Tarzan looking for Nu in top lane. Nu's gonna spot him out with a ward in the bush. I don't know if they can follow that one up. He is a slippery snake on the Gwen, as early gank still coming out heavy for LNG.
It really is, and now with items starting to pick up, the priority is only going to get worse. So what I'd love to see from LNG right now is they need to keep track of the summoner spells, right? They need to understand that Creme right now in the mid lane is a pretty easy target, just due to the nature, oh no, I need to watch out here.
Creme kind of baiting Icon in a little bit. Aki right behind him, but Icon still is the Sylas. A lot of mobility on the champion, able to get out from that.
And there we go. So I want to go back to the bot lane, because remember, the Leona came in as the last pick against the Thresh. And I really want to reiterate why that is. They could not go for a disengage option. If OMG went for a support that had disengage into the composition of LNG, they were never going to have any engage. You already have a composition where you obviously can kite back with the Aphelios and the Viktor, but the rest of your composition don't want to do that with the Olaf and with the Gwen. So they needed an engage option. So all OMG is doing for here with that bot lane is playing to get out of laning phase. They want laning phase to end as soon as possible. But on the side of LNG, you want to just keep this laning phase extended. You want to build up slow pushes in the bottom lane, so you can either do the dives again down towards the bottom, or you can move Gedaya up towards the mid lane where Creme, I mean, he is still not having flash. It should be up in a minute again, or just 30 seconds. But after that, you just want to keep the pressure up. And look across the entirety of the map right now. Ale towards the top side has the priority. Towards the bottom lane, they have the priority. And it looks like both junglers are looking for some plays here. Aki up towards the top side, and Tarzan towards the bot side.
Yeah, Tarzan looking for some Alcove Gaming up there. Meanwhile, I was looking to see if they were going to transition this into Dragon with so much pressure on bot lane. Looks like that's not going to be the case, at least this early on. And looks like the top lane play is not going to come down either. So both junglers a little bit hesitant to make those overextending plays. Actually, maybe Aki in some trouble as Icon and Ale spotted out that they were going to be able to find him in the jungle, make his life a little bit more difficult.
But how confident was that as well? That was Ale and Icon. That the jungler wasn't even there. Oh, Creme.
The Chaos Storm is there.
He's fine.
Okay,
he's
okay,
fine.
okay.
He's fine. He's fine. Don't worry about it. But Creme on control mages again. I said it. It's one of my nightmares.
It's okay. It's fine.
Really,
do that.
I mean, it might come back and bite me when we get to the mid to late game and he starts picking up his items.
Oh no, Tarzan. Aki just can't find a moment's rest. He's going to be chopped into by a giant bear in the woods. Tarzan picks up his first kill.
There we go. Tarzan able to get the level 6 first because of the scuttles he's been able to take. Nu up towards the top side.
Oh my god, Ale. Oh my goodness. Is this the outplay? No. Ale kills him 1v1.
At the start of the day, we were talking about LNG. They were a monster, but they were sleeping. But there's nothing sleepy about this performance. This is a monster that has awakened on all fronts. Towards the bottom lane, in the mid lane for Icon now getting aggressive. Tarzan getting solo kills in the jungle. Are you kidding me? Towards Ale getting the solo kill afterwards. LNG's early game, the proactivity, the setups we talked about. I haven't seen a good Herald from LNG in ages. Their Herald plays, their setups, they've sucked.
How about a Herald
There's
where you're not
nothing
even
about
touched?
this so far that sucked.
Oh, let's see it. Let's see it. This is the ruthlessness coming out from Tarzan. He just knows the instant combos there as they just kept the pressing up to the top lane. Now we're also going to see the replay of that 1v1.
I mean, there's just nothing for New to do here. He's got the Ignite, obviously.
It gets close, but
yeah, it does get close, but it just seems like Arle's been able to, get himself an advantage as well. Remember, Arle didn't go for Flash either, so that healing that comes out of the Gwen, you get the grievous wounds from the Ignite instead. That gives you a little benefit in that matchup. But now, from the resets to come through, after getting the Herald, after Tarzan's been clearing the top side of the map, OMG has been able to establish some pressure for themselves towards the bottom side, and therefore they do pick up the first Drake. But I feel like LNG, that possibly could have been a bit better for them in a scenario where they would have been able to pick that up. But this time around, the Stack'em will just have to come in later for the Drakes.
Yeah, that's why I was questioning earlier. Is like, I wonder if they are going to put a little bit more focus on these Dragons with how much priority they had in bot lane. Unfortunately, with the rotations and everything along those lines, Aki able to get down there first. Now Icon might be in some trouble under the tower here. Get a little confident in himself. Doesn't really have any backup. It does have escape plan as the Sylas, and Aki just can't find the angle, at least yet, right? On the Olaf, like, you're getting to a point, you're level 6 now, you've got a lot of strength in the skirmishing, you've been farming, you're trying to at least keep up with Tarzan right now. And when you get to those big skirmishes coming up, those 3v3s or even the big team fights, you've got to be effective on the Olaf. The target acquisition's got to be there.
Oh my god, New is just struggling as well. Take a look at the
there's just
inventory we
nothing
have
you
right
can
now. The Divine Sunder is there. Ale, no need to go for boots. I think he's even opted in for the magical footwear. We see that a lot on the Viego, so you're just able to go for that pure damage potential. And then towards the rest of the teams right now, Essence Reaver for LP is now up and available. There's just a lot of these item power spikes coming through. And Tarzan now with the Rift Herald, with the map being opened up. Look at the supports. They're out to brawl now as well. Kadaya is here. Cold is out towards the top side as well. They know this Rift Herald play would need to happen sometime soon.
Do Cold up here just in case. Maybe he'll make a play with Tarzan and Kadaya are moving into the jungle. Very sticky situation OMG have found themselves in. 4,000 gold just about down. Very nice that they were able to get the one dragon for themselves, but they've still got to be able to stick it out here and figure out where the next play is coming in from LNG with this Rift Herald.
Yeah, I think actually LP right now is building up a stack wave. So for OMG at the first time, really good read of the map situation. The fact they knew that the Herald play would have to come through soon, so they moved their members up towards the top side of the map. But now LNG is out rotating them because they have the priority on the map. They have the ability to rotate beforehand. So now they're moving down towards the bottom side of the map, where Tarzan obviously still has this Rift Herald in hand, where LP is taking care of the plates, and they should be able to get a turret down here as well if they'd like to open it up.
And to be fair, like, you can talk about the lead towards the top side. We found who the impact player is going to be, at least in this first game. It's definitely Ale with the 3 kills on the Viego. But this Draven ain't no slouch. This Sylas ain't no slouch. Like, you have potential across the board right now for LNG. And as you were highlighting earlier, they're going to just take this bottom tower. Even more gold influxed into the Draven and even the Volibear.
And that's just the thing. But the Olaf was up towards the top side. He's late to the play because New was afraid of getting dived alone by Ale because he's got the level advantage and is just doing an immense amount of power. Icon had priority into the Viktor lane, so he was not going to be able to move as well, Creme. So it was just like, no worries for LNG. They get the first kills. They get their counter jungling. They get the solo kills in the jungle. They get the Herald, and they actually execute on the play. What is happening? Is this actually LNG looking convincing? What? That's not how the script goes. What is happening?
Hey, they had a pretty nice win streak, if you didn't hear, at the beginning of the season. Not too shabby. Now they're being able to resurge in this game. It feels proper for LNG at the moment as Ale has found another 1v1 up here. And unfortunate for New, he's just too darn big. Ale up another solo kill. Keep padding them stats.
This is just an exhibition game at this point. I'll be honest with you, this is so dominant from LNG, and OMG, they still have clear strengths in, an Aphelios in the mid game and in a Viktor, but the problem is, you've no way of getting there. This is looking so dire for you at the moment.
And what's crazy is I don't feel like we've seen one play that has really been initiated by OMG and they're all on the same page, right? Like they have a decent team fight across the board. They're so far down now that gets a little bit more dim, but I still feel like if they were making moves as a team, it works out, but they aren't set up and they're just getting plays thrown at them by LNG as we look at the 1v1 yet again. Ooh, bot lane in the picture-in-picture almost went to OMG. Not gonna be able to find it though.
No, Sylas able to steal away the Olaf's ultimate. Was that? Oh, all Leona's abilities are now essentially completely useless. All right, great. And he's able to get out of that one while on the top side.
Oh my God, they're
able to do it while he TP's in.
They're going for it, because why not? Ale goes in, misses it, but still is able to find Abel. And that's a 5th kill for the Viego.
Well, you don't need to make an objective setup if you can just win a fight, have a man advantage, and go for the direct response in 10 seconds.
Every time. Oh no. Okay, Aki. He's still an Olaf. He's still an Olaf. He's got this. I believe in him. Tarzan has the Stormbringer though, and he's looking to take the pain here. One more chop. Tarzan gets another kill. That's another solo kill for LNG. That's just insanity in this game.
That is what you get for believing. And now I understand why you're a V5 fan. Because that is clearly not getting rewarded. But yeah, solo kill for Tarzan the second time coming into this one and then picking up the objective afterwards. Like, this is, once again, pure domination from LNG, and I love to watch this. Like, if you're a team that needs to vote how you want to play the early skirmishes or the priority in the early game, you take a look at this series. You take a look at what LNG just did, and I would not have said that before this series. I would have told you if you would like to know not how to not play the early game, you should take a look at LNG. But this time around, they completely switched it, and they're looking so good.
See the bot lane, what happened during the replay that we were looking at. So close yet so far. I said I wanted to see some plays coming through from OMG. They tried something there and it just got turned on its head.
It really did. There's nothing for them to do. You know, New, he does have a TP, I think, but he can't really join the fight just due to him being up towards the top side, farming for himself with a little freeze, and it's just the lack of priority. Olaf now, he's never going to be a champion. There's nothing for you to play for as Olaf. You're out of the game because you needed to have your windows in the early game, but LNG just completely shut them down. And now let's move on to the Herald here, where once again, it's an easy setup for LNG because essentially you don't really need a setup. All of OMG could be walking into you right now and you'd still win just due to you having the better wallet. You have so much better items. You're almost, what, 10k up ahead and close to that at least. So they just can't forfeit, can't do anything, OMG. They just have to forfeit this objective.
And I was saying, like, there's some hope in the grouping of OMG. I feel like their team fight's really strong at this point. It's LNG's team fight that's scary to me. And they're just roaming around as a group, right? They're not staying very far from each other. Yeah, they're playing 2 lanes here, but they still have a lot of mobility, as we were mentioning earlier. A lot of possibilities to get together quickly. Now, where is that next in for OMG? It's looking pretty far away at this point, right? You're like at 8,000 gold in the deficit. And for me, at this point, this is where I want to see if LNG can close out a quicker game than typical for them, where they are this late game team, where their games do go late.
But that's the thing. They've always been a late game team, right? So, like, it should be almost impossible for them to throw this lead. We've always talked about LNG as having a super bad early game and then just out team fighting their way.
Oh my God, they're going for the fight. They don't even care. Ale's already got a reset. Moonlight Vigil comes out, but it's not going to do very much. A second kill goes over. It's actually Kadaya who gets his first kill in this series at least. Another goes down. They're just taking out an LNG. Are going to close this game out quickly. You gotta feel it. Yet another kill. 7 kills on the Viego. The impact has been felt in this first game, and OMG gotta be reeling.
I feel like as OMG, you just let Shelly do the job now. New draft, let's move on to the next one. This is looking really doomed, and LNG, they're going to be looking to ending this one 17 minutes into the game.
This is so quick. It's not going to be the quickest, but it's going to be close. And we have a heck of a kickoff of this Super Weekend day number 2. They can't finish it, though, as Tarzan gets chased down here. Ale is going to get dragged down. Oh, no, he's not. He dodges it. He breaks some ankles, gets out with the help of Kadaya, but not finished just yet.
That was so close to them just having a 17-minute game ending on them here in the first series. That would be absolutely crazy. And I felt for a second, okay, maybe they've overstepped because there is a fairly huge shutdown on towards the side of Ale. That's what you need. But I mean, he gets out with the Dark Passage anyway. And as we're taking a look onto this fight again, it's Volibear. He's disabling the turret. There are thousands of gold ahead of you. They can just keep running into you. And your champions, they haven't spiked yet. They do nothing. The Viktor, the Aphelios, look at the amount of chakram he has. Doesn't matter at all whatsoever. And they're just able to dive this guy.
Now back onto the Rift. We have another 50 seconds for the third dragon of the game. It's an Infernal Soul. I don't know if we're going to get to that point at this point, though. 16-1 at 19 minutes. Sitting at just over, or under rather, 12,000 gold in the lead for LNG. And they know they've got a lead. They've got double super minions in this wave at least. They've been stacking it up, and they're going to push for the end here. They've got all 5 members in the base, and they want to take it to OMG. They want to make a statement with this first game, but they've got to close it out cleanly here. As I said earlier, the team fight still got potential from OMG, and I feel like LNG realized that.
Yeah, but remember, they have the Volibear ultimate. That single turret you see right there, that's not going to help you. So as soon as this next super wave come in here, I'm looking for LNG to pull the trigger. Just wait for it.
Yeah, we got to wait for it just a little bit longer. Here it goes. You see the bear jump in, and the rest follow afterwards. The healing, the AoE actually for OMG, as they're able to get one. Creme is getting some kills, but no, it's still LP on the Draven, able to get one back. The defense survived for OMG.
Oh, I can't believe it. All right, guys, we got the Nexus turret. Let's do Drake as an exit objective. Let's reset. Let's meet in mid lane again, and we'll try again. There we go.
Let's try again. Third time's the charm, right? We got this. Oh man, best laid plans. Gotta say. I mean, they got new.
Hold on. There's pinks on Baron. I think OMG they're gonna go for the Hail Mary play right now.
Is it worth the second dragon here? LNG are going to pick up their second dragon of the game. But the Baron, not started by OMG on the other side. Kadaya right there just to respond in case.
All right, so I think that is the correct call.
Okay, well then now
OMG
they can
barely
just
able
do
to
it.
team fight. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Baron
we take
what's
your
the next
idea,
one. Let's
we
go.
do it better.
And you know, they have the wallet, they have the pressure to actually do this. Remember, that's an open Nexus on OMG. They can't step up with that base. We've seen loads of time what happens when you leave your base unnoticed in the LPL, specifically against Rogue Warriors as well. So now with the Baron and with the ability to walk into the mid lane or just open up a side, this should be LNG just looking to get the clean out a clean game.
They're just going to finish the bags, put the whipped cream on top of the cake here. Here's a replay of that. Gotta love the epic hero stance of Tarzan's dive in with the Stormbringer. They aren't able to get it. I have to say, Abel doing a ton of damage right there with the Moonlight Vigil as well.
He really is, and I mean, you can see there's still hope in the OMG. They're keeping the copium alive here. We got this, guys. We can win it. We scale. Just stall the game. We can do it, guys. Don't mind our Nexus open. But I feel like if you go back to reality, that's a harsh reality where you're looking at a gold lead, 12k from the side of LNG. Your Nexus is open, and now they're pushing in with Baron minions. This is a dystopian future for OMG.
Yeah, I will say that it's been pretty impressive. You know, we were so close to ending the game at 18 minutes. They've held on for 4 more minutes. They're still looking a little bit worse for wear here, though, as LNG are back in the base, but this time, everything's purple. And they've really got to find a way to get a different color for OMG because it's not looking great. They've got the AoE this time around, the stats padded, the damage done, and LNG are finishing out this game strongly at 22.5 minutes in. LNG take game number 1 of the series.
And what a complete revitalized roster we're looking at here. Remember, we had bot lane substitutions coming into this one. LP Kadaya, first time on the stage here of the LPL. and they just looked like a well-oiled machine, LNG. You could not see a new guy was coming into this roster. Usually with new players, you know, oh, do we trust each other? Can we go for some of these dives potential? There was nothing of that. They were just confident from the get-go, and this LNG team was a pleasure to watch in their first game, although I am looking towards the next game, and I'm once again hoping we won't see that Viktor. I've already talked about the drafts coming through from OMG. You accelerate, or excel rather, in the skirmish heavy team fights potential, not in that slow pace control mage in the mid lane. That is really not the style that worked out for OMG.
And LNG just took that torch and ran with it in the first game. They got early blood. That tower dive, as you were saying early on, was just immaculate. And see that gold grab. There's some dips, but you take those all day long. Ale feeling pretty good with that damage graph as well.
I mean, he completely is, and I mean, the damage graph says it for itself right here. Yeah, there are some times where OMG, they get some shutdown golds, which decreases the gold lead a little bit, but outside of that, this was a team that was standing in front of your Nexus 17 minutes into the game with a Viktor trying to end the game. And I don't feel like you need to add much more context than that to this end game. We are talking about, oh, OMG or LNG in the late game, where we take a look at that gold difference between, or after rather, the 25-minute mark. They didn't even get to that part this time.
They didn't.
This was just pure domination.
It's gonna flip those stats over a little bit, just saying. But really good performance from LNG. And as we were saying earlier, like it feels like they have awoken, right? This new influx of young blood, being able to kind of revitalize it. And it just looks so good, right? They were all communicating. That's something we highlighted at the top of the day, where we wanted to see how those individual lanes work out with Tarzan, how that kind of communication comes down. And it looked so good. They were able to find out Aki early and keep the pressure on this Olaf, where it really didn't feel like OMG had any activity in that first 15 minutes or so, and we highlighted it in the cast. So going into game number 2, you gotta look for something a little bit more proactive, something that you feel more comfortable with taking those aggressive plays, or at least those aggressive paths for OMG.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the mistakes came out in the draft as well, giving over the Thresh when you could have picked it yourself, or, you know, left the other options open. I'm really looking for OMG to come in with a completely different mindset with a new draft phase, because this first one, it really did not work out for them.
Yeah, we will have to see. We're going to send it to a little break while we do get ready for that second game. Don't go anywhere, people. We'll be right back with the LPL.